Okay, we're going to continue our discussion of rational expressions and look at some complex fractions. So this means that we have fractions inside of fractions. So again, let's look at numbers to start. So let's say that we have something that looks like 3/5 over 4/7. Okay, now in a previous video we looked at this as division and changed it to multiplying by the reciprocal. And for this one you can still do that. We're going to look at another method that works a little bit better when you can't do the reciprocal though. Okay, so this method is to multiply on top and bottom by the LCD. So you're looking at the LCD of all the denominators inside the fraction. So I'm looking for the LCD of this denominator and this denominator. So the LCD between 5 and 7 would be 35. Okay, 5 and 7 don't have anything in common, so we'd have an LCD of 35. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply by 35 over 35. Okay, so I'm multiplying by a factor of 1. I haven't changed anything. And I'm going to multiply on top, and I'm going to multiply on bottom. Now when I do this, what I'm really multiplying by is 35 over 1 and 35 over 1. That way I can compare here. The 35 should cancel with the denominators. That's why you chose it. Okay, so here, let me do this in red. I'm going to have 5 and 35 cancel, and I'm left with 7. And then down here, 7 and 35 cancel, and I'm left with 5. Okay, so now on both of these, I just have 1s left in the denominators that are inside the fraction, so those are, we're not going to worry about those, because anything over 1 is just what you started with. So I've got 3 times 7 is 21, over 1 is just 21. And I've got 4 times 5 over 1, which is just 20. So I've got 20 over 21. It doesn't reduce again, so that's my final answer. Okay, so the basic idea here is that we're going to multiply on top and bottom by the LCD to clear out those fractions. All right, so now let's look at one with some letters and numbers going on. So let's say we have 3 over x minus 2 over 1 plus 1 over x. Okay, so look at the denominators. My denominators are x minus 2 and x. Okay, they don't have anything in common. Remember, x and x minus 2 can't cancel. X can only cancel with x by itself. So my LCD for this is going to be x times x minus 2. Okay, so both of the denominators, they don't have anything in common, so that's going to be my LCD. So I'm going to multiply on top and bottom by x times x minus 2. All right, now when we do that, we're gonna have to distribute here, because now we've got two things here, so we're gonna have to distribute. So on top we get 3 over x minus 2 times x minus 2. On the bottom we get 1 times x minus 2 plus 1 over x minus 2. Okay, so if you look at our original problem. When we multiply by the same thing on top and bottom, when we distribute it, you should see that every single term ends up getting multiplied by the LCD. Okay, so you're going to multiply on top and bottom, and then you're going to distribute. So every single term in your fraction gets multiplied by the LCD. Okay, so now let's go through and cancel and see what we have left. So on the top, we've got x minus 2 on the top and x minus 2 on the bottom. Those are going to cancel. Here there's no denominator, so we're just going to multiply that out. And then here we've got x and x on top, so those are going to cancel. Okay, so on the top, we're just left with 3x. Okay, the denominator canceled out, so we're just left with 3x. Here, there's no denominator, so we're just going to multiply 1 times this, which is be x minus 2. And then here, the x's cancel, and we're left with 1 times x minus 2, and of course that 1 isn't doing anything, so we've just got x minus 2. Okay, now from here, you can either look at this as factor by grouping. Both of them have an x minus 2. Okay, so remember factor by grouping, if you have the same factor, you can pull that out to the front. So I can factor out the x minus 2, and I'm left with x plus 1. Okay, if you didn't notice that, then you would still need to multiply this out and try to group like terms and see if it factors. So let's pretend you didn't notice the factor by grouping. You would go ahead and distribute. So you'd have 3x over x squared minus 2x plus x minus 2. So that's going to give us 3x over x squared minus x minus 2. And in your final answer, you should always check for more factoring. The denominator is going to factor as factors of 2. That would give us 1. So x minus 2, x plus 1. Okay, they multiply to be negative 2 and they add to be negative 1. So even if you didn't notice the factor by grouping up here, you would still get the same answer if you worked it all out and then combined. All right, so there's our final answer for that one. Okay, let's try one more. All right, let's say that we've got 1 over 3b minus 1 over 2b squared over 1 over 8 minus 1 over b. Okay, so let's take a look at our denominators first. So this is a denominator, this is a denominator, this is a denominator, this is a denominator. Okay, so the red circles are what I'm looking at. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is you need to figure out what number you need for all of the numbers to go into. Okay, so we've got coefficients of 3, 2, and 8. So first let's do the number. LCD is going to be, okay, 3, 2, and 8. So 3 and 2 go into 6. 6 and 8 both go into 24. So 3, 2, and 8 all go into 24. Okay, so figure that out first. All right, now for the b terms, I need to have a denominator that all of these can go into. So b, and b squared. So if I had b, it would cancel out with these two, but I'm going to need b squared to cancel out with this one. So b squared would cancel out with all of our b's. So our LCD is going to be 24b squared. 24 to cancel with the numbers, b squared to cancel with the b's. Okay, so we're going to multiply by 24b squared over 24b squared. And take a little bit more room here. Okay, so now remember we need to distribute that. So we're going to have 1 over 3b times 24b squared minus 1 over 2b squared times 24b squared over 1 over 8 times 24b squared minus 1 over b. Now I got a little update thing going there. Hold on one second. Okay, 1 over b times 24b squared. Sorry, my computer froze for a second. Okay, so again, you see that every single term got our LCD, 24b squared. Okay, that's how we make sure we didn't change the original fraction. So now we can go through. Now we can go through and cancel the things that can cancel. Okay, so 36 and 24, those can both be reduced by 6. So actually, we can reduce both of those by 12. Okay, 12 would be even better. All right, so 12 goes into 24 2 times, and it goes into 36 3 times. What did I do? That's a 30. I was like, this isn't canceling out. That's a 3b. I'm sorry. 3b, not 36. Okay, that'll help a whole lot. Okay, now 3 and 24 cancel. I knew something was wrong because my denominator didn't cancel out. Okay, remember, we've got to set the LCD so that our denominator always cancels out. So when my denominator didn't cancel out, I knew something was wrong. All right, so let's do better handwriting here. Okay, 3b. Okay, so 3 and 24 cancel, and we're left with 8. And then b and b squared cancel. One of the b's will cancel out, and I'm going to be left with 1b here. So I'm going to be left here with 8b. All right, over here, the 2 and the 24 cancel, and I'm left with 12. And the b squared cancels with the b squared, so that's gone. So I get minus 12. And then on the bottom, the 8 and the 24 cancel. and I'm left with 3, so that's going to leave me with 3b squared. And then over here, one of the b's will cancel, and I'm left with 24b. Okay, so that's what we're up to so far. That looks great. We got rid of all of our denominators, which is what we needed. And the last thing that we should do, we don't have any like terms to group or anything like that. Remember, we can't cancel these b's because we're over addition subtraction now. But we should look to see if we can factor anything because we might be able to get more to cancel out. So on top, we've got a common factor of 4. And we're left with 2b minus 3. Hold on a second. Try to get my b's to look more like b's and not 6's. All right, 2b minus 3. And then on the bottom, we've got a common factor of 3. And we've got b squared minus 8. Okay, that kind of looks like difference of 2 squares, but 8 isn't anything squared, so that's not going to factor from there. Okay, so, oh shoot. All right, we got to back up. I'm sorry. I lost this b right here. This should be 24b. So see, even sometimes we make mistakes too. Okay, so let's back this up. I apologize. Okay, so I lost this b right here. So this should have been 24b. So on the bottom, I actually have a common factor of 3b, and that's going to leave me with b minus 8. There we go. Okay, same final result though, in that we don't have anything that cancels out. So 4 and 3 don't reduce. I don't have any b's by themselves, and these two factors don't match. So that is our final answer.